Hi class, my name is Jonathan Mencher and I'll be doing my presentation on a recent article from the Wall Street Journal from 11/22 that was entitled "Not So Big in Japan, Apple Cuts Price of iPhone XR to Boost Sales." As many of you probably know, about a month ago Apple came out with their new models of the iPhone. They came out with the iPhone XS Max, which was the largest screen size. And they also came out with the XS, which was similar from a technological perspective as the XS Max, just a bit of a smaller screen. And they also came out about a week or two after with a model called the XR. The XR did not have as many features as the higher priced models. The XS Max, over 2 years costs about $1,150 to $1,200. The XS was about $1,000. And the XR was about $750, and specifically that's also what they're charging in Japan for that model. Now $750 is a pretty high price for the phone's air quote low-end model, especially if you think about it. 3 years ago, when you buy an iPhone for a mid-range model, you'd pay maybe $200 for that phone if you assumed a 2-year contract, which you have to sign anyway. So that's a pretty significant price jump of almost 400% in a matter of 3 years. As this phone is not selling as well as Apple would like it to be in Japan, they'll be cutting prices of the XR starting next week. They've yet to announce what those price cuts will be, but they are trying to boost sales. Japan has a pretty big market for Apple. About 46% of their smartphones are currently Apple today, so they are, pretty big there. Today in Japan, the XR is not selling as well even as the older model, the iPhone 8. So the iPhone 8 is actually selling higher over the last month than the XR and even the XS. So it can actually prove that the lower end model can sell, since the X was the older model, or the lower model than the X was a year ago. So it's not a matter of people not wanting the lowest end model, because they've done that with the 8. It's coming down to price. How are we going to fund the cut within Apple is one of the interesting questions. So historically, when they've done this, they've actually used marketing dollars to help fund this cut. As many of you know, in the corporate world, there's a lot of behind the scenes moving around of money with the books and accounting, and in order to fund these cuts, what they'll have to do is take that money from the marketing budget. Historically, they had also done this with the iPhone 6s, and when they do cut the price of a model, they do it more to manage the inventory compared to the other phones. So they don't want phone X flying off the shelves where phone Y is not selling. They want to keep the sales pretty constant. Also, when Apple does this, they typically do it just for one specific region at a time. They don't do this worldwide. And what's interesting about this, or really is there a reason for concern? So there's a quote from a senior official at a rival wireless company, and it said, "A price cut within a month of the release is rare not just for Apple, but for smartphone makers in general." So long term, over the next couple of years, what's going to happen with Apple? Will their sales numbers actually decrease? And when I say sales, I mean just volume, meaning will they now only instead of selling 1 million phones at $1,000 a phone, will they now sell 500,000 phones at maybe $1,500 a phone? So potentially revenue or profits may go up or down. But if they continue with these price hikes, I have a feeling that over time, their overall sales numbers will go down, especially because there are other similar phones in the market today, like, produced by Google or Samsung. Now, I understand Apple has a pretty big cult following where people buy Apple and stick with it. I'm the same way, where I think I'm on my 4th iPhone today and I wouldn't even think of buying another phone. But other people may not want to spend $1,000 on their phones when a couple years ago they were only spending $200. Like I said, on a kind of a price versus quality issue, the XR does not have the same features that the higher end models have. You don't have the quality of display. As you know, the XS Max have dual camera lenses, which the XR don't have, and you have slower data as well. So the two questions I'll leave you guys to answer is, first, due to the fact this happened so quickly, do you believe this is the only region where Apple is actually going to or needs to lower the prices for the XR? And taking that a step further, will this be the only model that they have to lower the prices on? And finally, as I alluded to before, do you think that the sales volume will decrease in the next few years? Again, not profit revenue, but do you think the number of phones will decrease and there'll be the other smartphone makers or the current smartphone makers that will begin to take more of the market share? And maybe a little more, is there a new vendor or a new company that will come up with a smartphone that may even rival Apple? So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you for your time.